Three, two, one, ghost. Hey, everybody. Welcome to 321 Ghost. I'm your host with a silent G, Kyle, joined as always. Hey, pal. How are you? Hey, Natalie.
Happy Halloween, Kyle.
Happy Halloween to you. It is, gosh, it just sneaks up every year, huh?
It really
Sneaks up like
does.
a creepy little pumpkin ghoul, just ready to just slash your tendons with its little candy bar blades, you
I'm
know?
into it. It
I love
it's
it.
great. It's the happiest day of the year, but it's better than Christmas, honestly.
I think so. My inner battle between those two holidays, it goes deep. And by deep, I mean I really only have like two instances that come
Okay.
to mind. And one of them is it just drives me wild when I'm like, what was it? Like mid-October, I'm take a little break from work, go walk over to the Fred Meyer. It's a grocery store up here in the Seattle
Yeah.
area, but they have like bunch of extra stuff. And then I go through their Halloween section, and they've already taken half of it down and replaced it with Christmas stuff. I'm like, and I just remember when I was growing up in the olden days of the 1980s and 1990s that that be like, oh my gosh, it's not even Thanksgiving yet, and they're putting up decorations. I'm like, it's not even
Hmm.
Halloween yet. And they're putting up Christmas stuff. So that bums me out. And then
Yeah,
also,
I'm not okay with that either.
and then also, this could be a hot take. Um, I am not
Good.
particularly a fan of the film Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh
It's
my gosh, that's so interesting that you say that. I just rewatched it like last week or the week before, and I've never been a huge fan of it. I think it's very beautiful. I think it's a really lovely film to watch. And I love the idea of this Halloween world and them just, having, what makes them happy. It reminds me of like the Addams family of like, snipping the roses off of the stems and things like that. Um, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan of A Nightmare Before Christmas either. So I actually hot takes. Maybe we're gonna lose some listeners here, but yeah, I'm
that's
not the biggest
okay.
fan either.
Jog on. If you're I am, but what I'm thinking might fuel this a little bit is, I grew up in Southern California. There was a period of time in high school where I had a Disneyland annual pass, so I would go with some regularity. And I'm a sucker for the spooky shit. So clearly, the first thing I will hit, and the only ride I will insist on going on multiple times, is doing a couple walkthroughs through the Haunted Mansion.
Amen.
And also, you're just looking to beat the heat, right? So you want to go through there and just enjoy some nice chilly, ghoulish air conditioning. And if anybody who might know, this is usually in September or so, like mid-September,
Hmm.
where they change Haunted Mansion over to Nightmare Before Christmas. And their whole situation is like, well, we kind of can keep the whole thing going and through the end of the year because it works both on
Hmm.
a Christmas side as it does on the Halloween side. And one thing that just bummed me out is that not necessarily, I'm like, you can have a Nightmare Before Christmas situation at Disneyland. I'm okay with that. But you are you are replacing the only haunted thing in the park. I mean, well, it depends. I think there's a couple people that died on the
Yeah.
Matterhorn, right? So,
Yeah.
or Big Thunder Mountain. Didn't someone get crushed by a boulder? Or was that
I'm sure a lot of
debunked?
people have died at Disneyland, but
Right. Some people try
it's
to,
spooky.
like intentionally, so they can
Oh, so they
maybe
can
haunt
haunt
the
it?
place. Yeah, and I know like there's a whole thing about just people catching people trying to dump ashes at the
That is
park,
wild.
things like that. But I'm like, come on, for Halloween you're replacing the only thing that's spooky, so you're not getting outside of the bats and decorations throughout the park, you're not getting extra spookier on the ride quotient, right? I don't know.
Yeah. No,
So
I 100% agree with you. And I know that A Nightmare Before Christmas isn't the movie that we're talking about, but it they also have to close the Haunted Mansion for quite some time to set it up. So if you're trying to get in there before they switch it, they may have already closed it because it's a big change, right? But do you think A Nightmare Before Christmas is a Christmas movie or a Halloween movie?
Christmas movie. It's someone learning about Christmas and being introduced to Christmas and the magic of Christmas. I think it's a Christmas movie.
I think it also did it come out during Christmas time too? I think it was released during like Christmas season, but
Yeah.
yeah, so fuck that concept then of taking over the Haunted Mansion because I completely agree. It is 100 times better in its true form. And the first time I took Phil to Disneyland, he saw it as The Nightmare Before Christmas and he was like, I don't get this. I've never seen
Oh
this movie.
no.
And then when we went back and it was the regular Haunted Mansion, he was like, oh, this is so much better. And I was like, thank you. Thank you.
I just want to
Everyone
just
agrees.
I just want to make it very, yeah, it's very upsetting to me. I'll tell you, because that means there's straight up a quarter, at least a quarter out of the entire year where I
Yeah.
can't go on Haunted Mansion the way
Mm-hmm.
that at least, it was designed, right? Especially when the only other spooky ride you have between what's it, Disneyland and California Adventure
Mm-hmm.
was already replaced. It used to be the Tower of Terror, and
Yeah, what is it
now it's
now?
it's Guardians of the Galaxy. Come on,
Oh, yes.
you
That's
know
so interesting.
you know how the Guardians of the Galaxy famously like go up a few levels and then just drop sometimes.
That
Not that it happened in Twilight Zone all the time, but I'm saying like the elevator concept in the hotel, it made more sense. You're getting on the elevator.
so okay. This is great. This is a great conversation to have because we're deep in it with Halloween. And I think the month of October really is a mind fuck for me because I just think that everyone loves spooky season and Halloween and scary things as much as I do. Like, I'm like, yes, finally, everyone has skeletons in their yards. Like, this is how it should always be. But what it really is like, it's like a temporary seasonal, I don't know what you want to call it, like Halloween fever. That sounds really momish. I've got Halloween fever. Uh, but it's a temporary thing. And for us, it's like all year round, we're looking for whatever we can find that's spooky. And I would hope that anyone listening to us talking about scary movies for hours also is in the same realm. But when you think about like your typical Disneyland person, like A Nightmare Before Christmas is probably their favorite thing that's associated with Halloween. Like, especially if you're not like into like scary, gory horror. So for them to get rid of the Tower of Terror, they were probably like, great, perfect. More people will go to Guardians of the Galaxy, which I'm not saying I agree with. I'm just thinking from a perspective of like the general public and still how niche horror is, even though it's probably the most prominent it's ever been at this point.
I think what they should do instead, which no one's gonna love except for probably the both of us, is you leave Haunted Mansion alone, and then during Halloween, you change Mr. Toad's Wild Ride to Ichabod and Sleepy Hollow.
Ooh,
And just make that a little extra spookier. I mean, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride's already a little
it's scary.
startling. Yeah. So, I mean, you do die and go to hell, and then that's
It's
it.
great. Yeah. No, every time we go on that ride, we went on it with Phil and my husband's like, "Wait, is that the end? You go to hell?" And I was
Yeah,
like, "Yeah. Yeah,
that's
that's
it.
the end." And Phil's like, "Some." And I was like, "I'm just so everyone knows, I'm doing a great job parenting."
Yeah, gosh. Hey, everybody. Happy Halloween. We're talking about
Happy Halloween. We'll see you in hell.
Happy Halloween. We'll see you in hell. We're talking about let me double check the year, 2007. Um, the
It's
2007 Michael Dougherty. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm just going to try
mhm.
that once. Halloween anthology classic. Gosh, at this point, Trick or Treat.
Yeah. I think this movie was made to be a classic. And actually, there's some debate on the release date because it says 2007 because that's when it was meant to be released. And I think it hit film festivals first. but then it had like a or was it that it hit film festivals in 2009? I don't remember. It had a very limited release and didn't get the
Had to
exposure it deserved.
they had to sneak it in just in time for Oscar season, just in case.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's one of the interesting things about this movie. I went into like a whole deep dive on like the history of Halloween to like see if I could find any like fun things to share. And I'll be honest, it's pretty much all things that I think everyone already knows about Halloween. So I'm going to share one thing that I think is awesome about Ireland and Scotland is that they call masks like Halloween masks false faces. And I was like, that's what we're calling it from now on is a false face because it reminds me of Leatherface.
That's a good band name if it isn't
False
already.
face. Yeah, yeah, this movie is definitely one that I think I watched it the year that it came out for somehow, some way. And I loved it. I love an anthology, so we'll start there. I think that's a common thread between the both of us is loving anthologies. And this one is particularly unique in how much all of the stories tie together. I think more so than any other anthology that I've watched.
It perfectly meets my love of spooky things and my inability to sit for more than 20 minutes at a time, and my inability to focus on anything for and that's why I've probably brought up in a bunch of episodes I love short movies, and this one is
It is
crisp.
short.
Love it.
For five, six debatable stories, it's a short runtime.
One thing I think is unique to this one, not necessarily unique, but I think just to the degree where the stories intertwine, I think is helps with that flow a little bit.
Hmm.
And I don't know, but then at the same time, it's like harder to kind of like judge stories against each other. The other thing too is that, I didn't do too much research on this, sorry, but I forgot to call the team. But most anthologies in general will have multiple writers, multiple directors, separately
Hmm.
for each story, whereas this one is the singular dude directing this whole thing, which I thought was kind
Yeah.
of interesting too. So it's not like it doesn't really lend itself as well to, like comparing. I mean, even like a movie like Cat's Eye, I think has at least, there's like through lines at least, but
Hmm.
so I'm just thinking of, but like VHS even too, you could separate those out,
Oh
VHS
yeah.
or Southbound or, I'm thinking ones that specifically just have, multiple directors. The Twilight Zone movie, of course, or Tales from the
Yeah.
Crypt.
Yeah, you couldn't take these stories and share them independently in the way that they're presented to you as this film shows because it would then you'd be missing pieces or like there would be a lot of mysteries involved, which makes me want to ask the question, is this a true anthology because of how intertwined the characters are? Do you feel like it calling it an anthology is a little bit of a stretch?
Yeah, I think that, hmm,
Just
you
because
got
it
me think.
has so many stories. Like I think about like there's movies that do similar things. And of course I'm not okay, I have a terrible example. I hope you've seen this movie. It's so bad. Have you ever seen Crash?
The one about racism or the one about like people get off on car crashes, like
No.
sexually?
Which one do you think? The one about racism.
I
Okay, and it does a similar thing where it's like you think it's different stories, but then they all come together. And it's not a good movie. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. But I of course have seen it. I think I watched it with my grandma, which feels right. And that movie I wouldn't call an anthology, but all of these different people interact with each other and they don't realize that they're involved in each other's lives. It kind of just feels similar, but I wouldn't call that an anthology at all.
Yeah, I think this one has the the muddy, gelatinous kind of skeleton of it a little bit, but
Mm-hmm.
of an anthology. But yeah, no. So I hear you. I don't know. I'm fine with either.
Yeah. And I think you could tell the stories independently if you took like just one or two things out, or if you didn't know the characters. I think overall this movie has a pretty good reputation. It's fun, it's short, it's very spooky. They put in as many different types of things as you could think of. You've got werewolves, you've got a pretend vampire, you've got a serial killer, you've got a little monster, you've got like Halloween traditions mixed in there, and I think um it covers it covers a lot of fun things, and it has an 82% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty strong. I was impressed by that.
For a horror movie, which I feel like all horror movies, I think should be graded on a curve a little bit. Dang, 82 is pretty good. That's like, see, that
Right?
probably they did want to get it in time for Oscar season. I'm sure they
Yeah.
wanted
See,
to
they were
sneak it
like,
into
look
that
it, the
festival
critics,
circuit.
the critics are eating this shit on. And okay, I'm gonna do things a little bit out of order here and share some taglines first. And there's a reason why. So I'm sharing these taglines first because I feel like one of them really is leaning on like you knowing the plot of the movie, which feels weird. So there's four taglines for this movie, and one of them is amazing, and the other three are pretty lackluster. So the first one is "You better watch out. I'm telling you why. Sam is coming to town." Which is like, okay, that's cute, fine. The second one is "They were started to protect us." What does that mean?
Wait, one more time.
They were started to protect us. They're talking about
It's
the rules of Halloween.
yeah.
Who the fuck would know that not having watched this movie? Like that feels very like post view understanding because there's no reference to rules anywhere else. But anyway, not my favorite one.
Hmm,
This one makes more sense. If you don't follow the rules tonight, you won't live to see tomorrow.
okay.
Perfect. That I feel like that's great. But this fourth one is my favorite. I don't know if you've ever seen this one before. Poison, drowning, claw, or knife. So many ways to take a life. What a fun little rhyme. I have it on my refrigerator. I have a magnet.
Poison, clowning.
Drowning,
Oh, drowning.
drowning, miming.
Who are you clowning? Hey. um. So poison, which okay happens.
Yeah.
Drowning, which does happen.
Claw, so werewolves,
Yeah, yeah. Though,
or
yeah, okay.
knife.
Who used a knife?
The serial killer dad, principal.
Yeah, right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Who did he use that knife to kill?
Oh shit, he didn't kill the kid with knife. He poisoned him. I'm
Hmm.
assuming he uses the knife on someone else. No one gets stabbed in this movie?
Well, people get stabbed a little bit, but with usually it's that little candy cane blade, or sorry, that not the candy cane blade, but the like little candy bar
Yeah.
blade situation.
Yeah, I
So
love that.
but that's me being picky, but I like it because
Yeah,
it is,
it's fun.
and also sets you up. It's like here's some ways, like they're not lying. Like I'd go back and be like, wow, I remember that rhyme, and they held to it.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
I shared that because following the rules is a big theme of this movie. And do you want me to lay out the stories as a like separately?
Let's lay out the rules. Do you remember them?
Hmm. I can try with most of them. Okay, so the obvious one is keeping your jack-o'-lantern lit through the night, which what kind of asshole is blowing? We'll talk about that later, but like who's blowing out their jack-o'-lantern? The candles don't last long. Okay, so that's one. The second one is that you need to be giving out candy. So we're giving out candy if people are saying trick or treat. That's one of them, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that's all I got.
That's all I can kind of remember.
I know. What are the other rules? Um, well, he says check your candy. The the
Well, it's
principal
kind of
says
like,
that.
so you always got to hand out candy. You don't blow out the jack-o'-lantern
Hmm.
before midnight. And
Hmm.
then the costume, you always got to wear a costume.
Mm, you dress up, yeah.
Yeah. And then then respecting the dead. I just looked it
Yeah.
up.
And
So,
honestly, I think don't fuck with these rules because you will end up dead. I think about Santa Claus a little bit when I watch this movie. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. If I don't do the right thing, you're not going to buy me presents. Too fucking bad. I'm an adult. I'll buy my own presents. Like, as a kid, it seemed very threatening. As an adult, you're like, fuck you, Santa. Like, what are you going to do now?
yeah,
I'm grown.
absolutely. I'll buy that Lego set on my own.
Yeah,
Like a
I'll even
grown
wrap
ass
it.
adult man. Yeah,
I'll even wrap it and put it under my tree.
absolutely. I
Okay.
think all of these
Those
I
are
mean,
fair and easy rules.
I think those are fair and easy rules.
Yeah, you should be respecting the dead at all times of the year. So,
I was curious, talking about where we land as far as how this feels as an anthology, because like when you're watching it, again, it ties itself together
hmm.
quite a bit, right? Or maybe too much for it to be necessarily like an anthology per se. I think you could argue either, but I think the way that this movie is discussed, and I think even the way maybe we'll talk about it a little bit, is just at least acknowledging, kind of separating out like kind of like the core
Yeah.
stories of each one. And so where do you land as far as how many stories? Would you say you like what, four, five, six? I mean, I think there's what, five?
Okay, so Wikipedia broke it down really well into six pieces, but I would argue that the sixth piece kind of fits into the fifth. So I would say there's for the sake of ease of conversation, we could do it as six. So you've got your opening, which is obviously Robot and Knight. Is that what he is?
He's a robot.
He's a robot too?
Oh no, right. No, yeah, he was like a knight
Leslie
or something.
Leslie
Sorry.
Bibb
Yeah,
or Emma.
yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. I literally just watched this movie before we started. Yep.
I've
She's
seen it a lot of times. I've seen this
she,
movie a lot.
so we've got that one. And then
Yeah, so
we've
you've got
got
that. You've got the opening. Then you've got the principal, who is Stephen Wilkins. That's one full story of him being a serial killer and pretend vampire. Um, then you have your Halloween school bus massacre, which includes the the tweens that are pranking the witch girl Rhonda, and that also includes the story of the drowned children in the school bus, of course. So it ties those two together. Then you've got what we would call surprise party, which is your werewolf girls. I feel like Anna Paquin was like way too famous at the time to even be in this movie. Like she was having like the best time career wise at those like mid aughts.
what was like, I mean, outside of
True Blood
like True
and
Blood.
X-Men. She was in all those X-Men movies.
Well, the reason she is, I mean, the reason I figured she was in this movie, and just like the reason like Brian Cox is in this movie,
Mm-hmm.
and as well as a couple others, is, just to address the elephant in the room, this movie is produced by Brian Singer, who
Yeah,
is noted fucking
he's a big
pervert and
deal.
creep, and who
Oh, I didn't
directed.
know he's a pervert and creep. I know nothing about him personally. I just know what movies he was doing. What's his
Oh,
deal?
yeah. Well, I'm not gonna go into all of
Well,
it
you don't have
here,
to.
but
Just
just
bad things, bad
along,
things.
like dating back to even like on the set of, you remember that movie Apt Pupil?
Yes.
Like there was like allegations of like, underage boys talking about, just weird sexual pressure, and just, I don't
Damn
know, it's
it.
like a whole thing. And then a lot of people came
Oh.
forward. He is, you know sorry, lack of a better term, but yeah, very rightfully kind of canceled pretty hard.
Yeah,
He's
no, I had no idea. Obviously, I don't read enough.
So that is probably the reason why. Yeah, I
Yeah,
see like those connections because
because
Brian
he
Cox
did a
was in
lot of
X
the
Men too.
X-Men. Yeah, the
Yeah, he did
X-Men
those first
movies.
two X-Men movies.
Hmm.
But sorry, I don't want to derail us. But yeah, so the
Okay, good
surprise
to know.
party with Anna Paquin.
Yeah, so you've got surprise party with Hannah Paquin. I was like, what were we even talking about? Then you go into Sam and the bus driver. So you've got who you don't know is the bus driver, but um Stephen Wilkins' neighbor who hates Halloween and is a big grump. And dresses up his dog to scare away trick-or-treaters and his interaction with Sam. And then it has a little conclusion piece, the conclusion piece being the situation with the school bus kids coming for revenge and Sam going back to the beginning of the story.
I I would think everything with the bus driver, both the Sam parts and the kids coming back, are all one thing.
So that's what I was saying. So it's like it's broken into two, and I feel like that's really just part five. So
Yeah.
we can combine those two together.
Well, gosh, I mean, thoughts off the top of your head, do you have one that sticks out? Like I said, it's hard because they all kind of intertwine a little bit, but are there any kind of key kind of set pieces that you feel, are really stand out in this movie?
Yeah, I have a lot of favorite things. I will say though, the opening really is fun for me because it sets the stage for one, how ridiculous this movie will be, but also I liked the whole like the vibe of it. I remember it so clearly because when I watched that opening scene, I was like, I'm gonna fucking love this movie. I remember watching it for the first time, and I like that it starts with that trick or treat trick or treating safety video. Like I love an old timey um safety video. So I really like that it starts there.
I love an old
And
timey safety video. I like that.
yeah, like they'll pop up every now and then in a movie. But I also really love Leslie Bibb. I
I just
watched
imagine.
her what just
No,
rewatching
sorry,
old timey
sorry,
safety videos.
sorry, sorry. I'm still stuck on that. I just imagine you just sitting, just fucking excited in the back room of some store. You're watching these HR videos
Yes,
and just
I
being
do.
so stoked on it. I
Oh
love
my
it.
gosh.
Sorry.
I do love HR training videos. They are delightfully dumb.
Good for you. I'm sorry.
The acting is so bad. Like just give me a PowerPoint. I don't need the video. But we love a safety video, and I kind of wanted more of it. Like I wanted it to last a little bit longer. It was short-lived. But Leslie Bibb, I love. I watched a lot of her on a show called Popular in the early 2000s, and I remember just falling in love with her and thinking she was so great. And her character is absolutely the opposite of the person that I would ever want to interact with. She says she hates Halloween. She wants to take down Halloween decorations that night. Did you
So
see all those decorations?
yeah, I one love Leslie Bibb. I mean, I think I know her best from is probably Talladega Nights.
Yeah, she's so good at Talladega Nights.
Yeah, she's awesome. um, and then I feel bad. I forget the other dude's name. But he's in Battlestar Galactica.
Oh yeah,
That's how I recognize him.
he's also
But
in Dollhouse, which we've brought up
yeah,
before.
yeah, that makes sense. He looks, yeah, he just, yeah, he looks like he would be in some early aughts sci-fi show.
Absolutely.
He's just got that look. I don't know. I
That
like it.
bone
It's a
structure.
compliment. He was
Yeah.
he was great in Battlestar. So it's been a long time since I've seen it. So yeah, I didn't understand for someone who like hates Halloween so much, like Leslie Bibb does. She's like, first of all, like, I mean, he must love Halloween so fucking much because
Yeah.
for someone to hate Halloween like she does, that's a lot of decorations and that's a lot
Yeah.
of thought into that costume.
Also, it
And
looks homemade. That looks like a
yeah,
homemade costume, like a well-made homemade costume. But it's like, really, if you hate Halloween, you're gonna run your ass to the Walgreens, grab a mask and, call it a day.
Yeah, right. So, and she's like, my mother's gonna have an aneurysm when she comes tomorrow. We need to get all this down now. And I'm just like, then why did you like go through, like, why did you at least decorate that much to that extent? Like the whole
Yeah.
yard was just
You
full.
could have just
Like
done a
my,
jack-o'-lantern.
like I like that puts my front yard to shame.
Same.
Like, and I was thinking like, and this lady like hates Halloween. Get out of
Yeah.
here.
Like we're over here living for Halloween with 25% of the decorations that she has in her front yard. And she's just in the worst mood and is like, start the video. And I'm like, oh, this is a thing for you guys. You got your video? Okay.
Nature
Um,
specials.
but also, like, how long did you think it was going to take to clean up those decorations? Because the video is going to be over by the time you're done. It's going to be over, and he's going to be finished with whatever he's working on upstairs. Also, help her with the fucking decorations if you want to get laid. It's like,
Yeah, I'd be like, if this is what's getting in the way, yeah, here, come on, let's get the
let's get all
boxes,
this
getting all
fucking shit in
done.
the box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I even if that dude loved Halloween, it's like, look, I don't love it that much. Like, let's,
Yeah. I'm
come
gonna
on.
I'm gonna need to get some tonight.
So first thing it does, yeah, she burns out or blows out that jack o' lantern. She's following all the other rules,
Yeah.
So be cool. I mean, I guess she didn't have the opportunity to see her like more deliberately respect the other ones, but
Hmm.
yeah. So I mean, she, there's a couple of fake outs.
Yeah, I
I
like the
mean,
fake out of the guy in the white mask.
yeah,
Excuse me, false face.
false face, right? And even then, she was like smiling to herself, seeing like trick or treaters and stuff. So I'm like, okay, do you really hate this shit that much? You were in the
Yeah.
fucking parade.
Yeah.
Like there's so many degrees of participation that you just leapfrogged right over to
Maybe
get to
she's
like,
maybe she's a really supportive partner. Like he loves Halloween and she's like, "You know what? I'm going to fully participate in this for you, but fuck those decorations. They're coming down tonight."
it was nice of her. She could have been like, fuck man, go to bed, get over yourself. But she's like, hey, all
Yeah.
right, but my term is put on that tape.
Yeah. And Sam is not having any of it. I'm assuming his name is Sam because of people mispronouncing Samhain as Sam Hain. And so they're calling him Sam. That's my
Hmm.
guess.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
But I did think it was pretty impressive because it really shows like he is having trouble dragging her corpse back into the yard after he like you know
Yeah.
covers her with the sheet and slits her throat with the whatever and
Yeah.
with a little lollipop. But like damn, like for how much you struggled pulling her back in to put her back up on that post like
No,
that.
that was just her head. If you
Is it
look,
just her head?
yes, this is one of my favorite parts of this opening scene is how um Henry, how Henry finds her. So he's kind of looking like at the tree because they had like fake body parts and limbs hanging. Her leg and her arm are hanging from the tree. Like you can see her wedding ring on her, it's her hand and her leg, and he starts to like look at it, and that's when the light starts flashing from where her head is. So I think he like took her, like dismembered her, and then shoved that lollipop right in her mouth, which looks amazing. Yeah, so I'm like, that poor guy, he's gonna be traumatized forever. That But that's a pretty fun kill, even though it is off screen, which I think most of the kills are off screen in this movie.
I mean, it's funny that we bring up just the one that's we start, that we bring up the
Yeah.
opening as one that sticks out to us. But yeah, no, I love that. Just like the way it just sets the tone. It's really fun. Again, you get the silliness and you get the blood splatter, so it's
Hmm.
still all fits within. I wonder what. Probably it wouldn't be good, but like I wonder what like a PG-13 or PG-1408 cut of this movie would look like because you said there are a lot of the deaths are off screen, so I wonder like
Yeah.
but I do know that there's like some pretty specific like shots to like, bones broken and protruding, and like this, and then a
Yeah.
lot of the kid
There's
violence,
still
I suppose.
gore. Yeah, there's still gore. Yeah, there's kid violence and language. And I think there's a boob shot in the werewolf scene. So there's some boobs
Mm.
for a moment.
But I just wonder, like, well, there's boobs in Titanic. It's PG-1408.
Well, that was a big deal. That was a
Yeah.
real big deal. All the teenagers were like, yes, well, one ticket to Titanic, please. To see some of Kate Winslet's titties today.
Oh, well,
Literally, all the 14-year-old boys were like, "Oh yeah."
no comment. No comment. Um, so I think what the scenes that always kind of stuck out to me the most were probably just all the stuff with Dylan Baker, who, I mean, I remember most from being Dr. Kurt Connors before he turns into the Lizard in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. But
Oh
he
yeah.
plays, and he was also in, I don't know, there's this like dumb show with Nathan Fillion where like they like drove cars, and that was like the whole thing. Maybe it was like some like a
That was the
heist
show.
or like a race or a contest or something. I can't remember, but I think he
It,
was in it too.
oh, I have
I,
no idea who you're talking about. Yeah.
I gotta watch my tangents tonight.
Yeah.
Um, but and also the kid from Bad Santa.
Yeah, everything with I mean, I started with the opening because it like had like a wow effect for me, but I really like every single segment of this movie. And the character of Stephen Wilkins is probably the funniest character in this movie. Like he has a lot of like comedic beats along with just being creepy, and like I just more. Like he's the principal, but he's also a serial killer, and then he moonlights as a vampire on Halloween night. Like, what is your life, sir? Also, I think his wife, I think is dead. From he says something along those lines at some point. So I'm like, did he murder his wife? Who knows?
Yeah, who knows
I
what's going on with
agree.
this dude?
Yeah.
And you've got the yeah. No, I think it was fun. I like the again. It's very PG-1408 to have the kid, but I enjoyed it. But to have the bad Santa kid, like like vomiting up like the streams of chocolate, it was very like Willy Wonka a little bit.
Yeah, it also looks like it's a reddish brown, like to kind of like is there blood in there? Like probably because he is poisoned. Um and something that I didn't realize until this watch, and I can't stress enough, I've seen this movie probably at least, gosh, 10 times. I didn't realize that there was a second body already in that grave. That's who was alive. I thought that he like killed the boy then and there, and then decided to chop his head off later or something. It was like, oh, there was already another body in that grave.
That's what I thought too, and it looked like, but yeah, but like when the hand was like moving, it almost looked like it was like a kid like wearing like a clown costume, looked like a sleeve with like the yellow with the stripes or
Yeah,
something. I can't remember. A little bit of
yeah. It
frill
had some
there at
kind
the
of
end. I don't know.
frilliness
Yeah.
on the sleeve. Yeah.
So that had confused me a little bit too. When also, gosh, I'll just be referencing dumb movies tonight. When you had mentioned just the mix of like the red and the brown, it just reminded me of that movie that looks like came out the same year called Blood and Chocolate. Do you remember that? That's really bad.
Mm-mm.
It's about a werewolf, but I'd never seen it, but I just remember the trailer playing before Rocky comes back as an old man, Sylvester
Mm.
Stallone movies, in that
Yeah.
trailer playing ahead of it, and I was like, this is very weird. But this is more of like the plays to the underworld crowd, I think, more than the
Yeah.
people seeing the new Rocky movie in 2007. But yeah, I liked everything with him. I liked I like him just throwing a finger to the dog. I'm like, that's probably, if you're trying to like hide this, you probably shouldn't just be like throwing body parts
I
around.
know. I
But
thought the
so
same thing. And I'm glad that that dog wasn't in any danger there. He just, he just got his like finger snack. But yeah, I also what I really enjoy is that you meet the neighbor like that early on, and you even see him get attacked through the window. And I like that you get the other perspective of that later on in the movie. Is really fun. So that's one of the fun things about that. I love when you flip perspectives in stories. It could be horror, comedy, drama, whatever it is. I like seeing it from different angles. But yeah, I absolutely agree. I think everything like in with Stephen Wilkins, his character is so fun. And I love that they kind of trick you also into thinking, that he's gonna stab his son in the head, but it's actually, them carving into that little boy's head together. So he's like grooming him.
yeah, I didn't trust that kid from the get-go because of the red curly hair and the overalls.
Oh,
I
I
was
didn't
like,
even,
that
yeah,
little kid looks like fucking Chucky. I do not fucking trust him.
good casting.
And I just don't trust little kids in overalls, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah. So no, not having it. But I did like that though. Hmm, I feel a little bad for the for that poor kid. Well, one, because he's probably not his fault, and then two, he's just orphaned now.
Yeah, and gosh, I mean, you could make a whole movie about him being adopted by someone and how that pans out. So he could fit into creepy kid territory real fast.
I think that was the origin story before what are those movies with John Ritter, Problem Child? You ever see those movies?
Yeah,
Yeah, so same idea, just like it was the this is the prequel. It also serves as a prequel to Problem
gosh,
Child.
it all
So,
ties. It all ties together.
but I liked him being, he was really nice at the end, just sitting on the like handing out candy to like other kids when they came by.
Hmm.
So that was very kind of him. But maybe he's, I don't know, gonna try to take up the mantle on his own. Though I don't know. He's got a mortgage to pay now. I don't
Yeah,
know.
no, he's definitely going to end up in the orphanage. I mean, he's the principal. People are going to notice he's missing come Monday morning. Like,
Yeah,
so I think that kid will be well taken care of, hopefully,
yeah.
and doesn't continue to carve heads.
Well, it's still early enough in the school year where I would hope that they'd be able to get somebody in that principal spot pretty quickly and look for it. I think that'd be fine.
Yeah.
Um, this movie doesn't take place in a real town. I looked up Warren Valley, Ohio, and thinking
Yeah,
of
it's
like,
fictional.
yeah, but yeah, and I'm just thinking of like all the things that happened in Ohio. The only thing that really like comes, well, I'm sure there's more, but the only thing that comes to mind is Nightmare on Elm Street. I feel like that's the biggest string of child murders to happen in Ohio before this
Yeah.
movie,
Yeah. And
right?
um
Springwood, Ohio.
but yeah, this movie makes me think, I'm like, do I have to live in Ohio to have a town that celebrates Halloween as like heavily as this one? Because there's parades, everybody's decorating, like it's so lovely. I really feel like California does not celebrate Halloween in the way that like the Midwest would. So that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know. I just moved to a new neighborhood, and there's a promising number of houses that have Halloween decorations out. So
Okay.
I'm hoping it'll be a fun night because I'm gonna
Do
eat
you
all of
like
that candy
Do you like
that I
giving do you
bought.
like giving out candy to kids on
Uh,
Halloween?
I love it. I think it's fun.
I do too.
Especially yeah. I don't know. I love the creativity in people's costumes. I think it's always pretty
Yes.
fun. And then because there's always some kids that are always like, yeah, dude, like I love the kids that still go out and, like rep Freddy Krueger. I'm like,
Yeah.
how do kids have any concept?
Yeah.
It's like the parents one in
Yeah.
Freddy vs. Jason. It's like kids these days have no idea who Freddy Krueger is.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I
It's all like
absolutely
Annabelle and
agree.
shit.
I miss giving out candy so much because I mean, obviously, like still young enough where we take him trick-or-treating, which is still kind of fun because then you get to see like some of the people's costumes like at the doors. But I loved giving out candy to kids, like even before, like just seeing kids in creative costumes was what really got me. I'm like Halloween's biggest like hype woman. Like I'm like high five, like air high fiving parents that are like getting it right. Like, like just cheering on these kids. I loved it.
Do you leave candy at your door at your house?
Yep,
Okay, good.
I
Do you
do.
leave a sign like that asshole saying like one piece at a time?
No,
Good.
it's,
So just
you
go for it.
know, people, you're going to grab what you're going to grab. I expect that most people would be courteous by grabbing a handful. Like that to me is realistic. Grab a handful of candy. If you take the whole bowl, fuck it, who cares? I don't want it in my house anyway. So when I get home, typically there's still candy in the bowl. There's not that many trick-or-treaters in my neighborhood because it's like a city suburb. So like I think a lot of the families will drive to actual suburbs to get a good string of houses where there's people giving out candy. But you'd be surprised if you have a child like mine who's willing to walk upstairs of apartment buildings and just be like, hey, trick or treat. Then there's a lot of people giving out candy.
I love it. And I appreciate that you don't, do the one piece only thing.
No.
Just like how I wish social services were in this country. I think that if you just count on people to take what they need, then you'll be, I think just, unsurprised to find that
Yeah.
people will just get what they need and take care of themselves. Whether
Yeah.
it's and sometimes it is going to be 6 Kit Kats, and that's okay.
Yeah.
It all
I've
works itself
even
out.
I've even thought about, once he's trick-or-treating on his own and he's like older, running around with his friends, that I might get one of those. I don't know if you've seen these costumes. It's like a full body like leotard situation where it's all black and then you can like just kind of blend in. So I would hide in the bushes and have like a sign that says please take one, and then anybody who takes more than one, I will scare the shit out of them and just pop out of those bushes. That's the dream. Um, that's
I would
that's what I have planned for the future.
I would scare the kids that took one and say it's Halloween. Break the fucking rules. I know we're talking about a movie that's
We're
very
talking
set
about
on you
not breaking the
following these
rules.
rules. But that's also my little pushback with Trick or Treat too. Is I'm like, no, it's Halloween. It's anarchy. Fuck the rules. Like it's
Yeah.
you don't leave the lights on. You smash the pumpkins. It's just like Billy Corgan said.
Well, and the old school rules were if you don't have a treat, you're like some mischief is going to happen to you, like some mischievous shit is going to happen. So, that was like the original like theme of trick or treat was you give me the fucking treat or I'm going to toilet paper your house. I'm going to smash that jack-o'-lantern, whatever it may be. Um so yeah, lean into it. Lean into the chaos.
I was confused a little bit with the whole Wilkins being a vampire, but not situation. Because how does he kill that woman in the alley if he's
Well, I
not
mean,
like because
he
he's
did bite
biting
her.
her?
Like if you
Does he
get
just
that,
have
if you get the right nerve in the neck, I mean, you could bleed out
even with those
for
like
a minute.
plastic teeth,
Those
or
were
did he
not
have?
plastic. Those were nice ones. When the werewolf girl pulls them out, she's like,
Mm,
nice, because they look legit.
mm.
Like they're made out of some sort of like, I don't know, but you would make those out of like porcelain, maybe.
That scene for a little bit gave me Sarah Michelle Gellar. I know what you did last summer vibes.
Oh,
Just
for
when you have the parade
sure.
going through in the alley, even though she gets out of the alley, and then fucking
Yeah.
Leslie Bibb in Battlestar, he's like,
Yeah,
oh,
she's
she's
like, "Are
she's
you
drunk.
okay?" Yeah, that is not what someone looks like when they're drunk, for the record. Like, and even if she was, help
She's
her.
hurt.
Yeah, like, or if even like she looks startled and like something is wrong. So even if she was drunk, like, who cares? Like, just help her. What a terrible man. Maybe he deserved it instead of No, she was still breaking the rules, but he didn't help that girl out. Yeah, so it's kind of a weird progression from him being like the neighborhood principal serial killer to all of a sudden moving into this role of moonlighting. I feel like that was for the sake of a twist.
Yeah, I think so too. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know if it necessarily needed to be him, maybe outside of maybe feeling that the audience needs to see him get like his comeuppance at some point, right? Because otherwise, I don't know
Yeah.
if like it could have just been some separate, I would have followed just some separate story of a guy
Hmm.
pretending to be a vampire, killing people, and that was his whole thing until he gets like attacked by like real werewolves or something like that.
Yeah, I
Um,
wonder if I wonder if that was maybe the original plan and they were like, that's a lot of stories, so maybe we just have it be, you know,
have it be him too,
have it be
just because.
him. Yeah, and his reaction is really great too. So his scream and when he sees all the dead men lying around is really good. Like he looks genuinely terrified.
we can um we can back up a little bit. I wanted to, because I know, again, with this movie, I think it's just easier to kind of like leapfrog around a little bit,
Hmm.
just because it kind of bounces back and forth between storylines. But just to kind of tie off a little bit of the Dylan Baker, Stephen Wilkins thread,
Hmm.
because right after they reveal that the kid and him are going to cut up Bad Santa Boy's face, then we're introduced to the young women at the Halloween store, at the costume
Hmm.
store, right? With, I mean,
Yeah.
most famously, Anna Paquin in that group, and then
Hmm.
with the other four, um, and
Three.
then this, and then this little pervert child, right? That like
He's
needs.
he is too young to be doing that. I feel like I'm sorry, he's not too young to be doing that. He might be doing it and not even realizing that he's doing anything wrong, but he's too young to be doing that for the purpose that like he seems to be doing it for. Like he's clocking in at about 6 or 7 years old. Like that's not. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. You were a 6, 7 year old boy at one point. Like, were you trying to see like tits and ass like in public at that age?
No, I would have been,
Like, or in public ever?
especially in a Halloween store. I feel
Yeah.
like I would be just way more distracted by all the other things, and then also just, gosh, I mean, just going from, I mean, unless like I have like my, let's see, 6 years old, so this would have been, I was I was Raphael, specifically from Ninja Turtles 3,
Oh,
when he's in like the kind of like samurai garb,
nice.
um and
Double
so I've been,
costume.
yeah, so I'd be like, I want to try this on. Who's taken up so much time inside these things? And that's why maybe I'd be like pounding on the door, being like, "Ladies, get out! I need to
Yeah,
see if this fits. I need to be a Ninja Turtle.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
don't
So
care
that
about your business."
so that's kind of a weird moment. And then the other thing that bothers me about that is that they're talking about just totally inappropriate things like yelling over, the fitting room stalls. And the woman like bangs on the door and she's like, ladies, there are children out here. And I'm like, are we not going to acknowledge what that little boy was doing? Like, you're not going to correct that behavior. I don't know if he belongs to her, but um, you know, I'd be like, whose child is this? Like, who's the mom here? Like, having those moments is super awkward, but she should have done it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Was it the mom that was like, "Oh, excuse me, there's children out here. You ladies need to stop talking." I wasn't
I
sure if
thought
she
it
was the
was.
mother of that kid. Right, makes sense.
Either
And then,
way, like reprimand that kid.
yeah, I don't know. Jeez. um, Yeah, I don't know. I was confused a little bit at first, but I guess you're following the general kind of fairy tale vibes a little bit. But I was like
Yeah.
thinking like, wait, are they like Disney princesses? Because then it's like, why do
They're
you
just all
have Red
wearing
Riding Hood and why do you
sexy
have,
costumes. Yeah, so you have
yeah,
Red Riding Hood, you have Little Bo Peep, you have Snow White, and then Cinderella.
okay, so yeah, I guess it's all
So
kind
Little
of like
Bo Peep, sorry, I said beep.
little
Um,
little Bo Beep.
Little Bo
That's
Peep.
that's like a little robot, little Bo Peep.
Oh, that's cute. Uh, Yeah, so they're just wearing generally sexy costumes. Like I think the vibe was supposed to be that they just picked up the first thing that they saw, but they happened to have two Disney princesses, which maybe if we would have swapped one of those out for something else, it would have worked. But her sister, the blonde one, like makes a lovely Cinderella. She totally fits the part. Yeah, so I like that they're wearing, the sexy costumes. But one thing I will say, I mean, I've seen some slutty costumes in my day, and I've worn some. And those costumes are pretty tame considering like you're literally trying to lure men into the woods. I mean, not hard to lure men into the woods,
Yeah.
but like you're
You do not need that amount of cleavage to
yeah,
lure
like, but I was like, oh, I'm surprised
horny
they
young
didn't go
dudes
like
into the woods.
a little bit shorter with the skirts. Like they're all wearing like very long skirts and things like that, and it's all cleavage. But I thought that was kind of a funny thing. Like I'm like, they could have gone with sluttier costumes.
Well, you can go to Renaissance Fair for that. If I want to just see cleavage,
Yeah.
come on.
Exactly, in a long dress. But yeah, I like how easy it is for them to round up and just be like, we're going to a party, we need a date, and they literally follow them into the woods. That's great. It's great.
Yeah, I am not about. I like Halloween parties. I just don't like in the woods or in a
Mm-mm.
cornfield or I don't know anywhere that you're generally going to have just murderous things happen.
Yeah, and like I mean, I'm not that much of a spontaneous person, but like it could be the hottest person in the world if they were like, "Hey, like I just met you tonight and I need a date for this Halloween party. You want to come with me in the woods?" I'd feel like, "No." No. As a woman or a man, I don't feel like that would be my vibe, but bet that many a person has. And
Yeah, if I was that dude, I would absolutely. At that
yeah,
time, I
like
think maybe.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean they're supposed to be in their early 20s. So, who's believing that he's off in 20 minutes from the Halloween costume store on Halloween? Like, are you abandoning your job? Because your ass should be there all night.
Well, who's working there that late? Who's still getting? I mean, others outside the women. Yeah, I guess a lot of people are still buying costumes this
Yeah,
late at night. Jeez,
yeah, they
or this
are.
late into Halloween, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe you had no plans, no costume, and then like, some random girl walks up to you and is like, "Hey, you want to go to a party in the woods?" So you're like, "Shit, I have to get myself to that costume store."
I did like, you know, silly little things, that they bring up where mom always thought she was the runt of the litter, and
Yeah,
like talking about things like in like animal or dog terms, but of course, literally they mean like yes.
yeah, and she also, the sister, when she's trying to get Anna Paquin to come out of the fitting room, knocks on the door and says, "Or I'll huff and I'll puff," and then she's like, "No, seriously, get it, like, come out of the out, out of the fitting room." Yeah, they did some cute things, and like, he says like, "What big eyes you have," and then she says it to him right before she eats him. Also, okay, the makeup effects that they do on Anna Paquin when she's like not fully like morphed into a werewolf, she looks fucking hot. Like
Yes, right.
so
I was thinking
hot.
that.
It's like you're like, wait, like, why is this so attractive that she looks like a monster woman? Like she looks amazing. I
Yeah.
love that makeup that they put her in.
My favorite was when, before she meets them out in the woods, because Anna Paquin's like, hanging around trying to find somebody after the other three go in that van, the news van or whatever. Um, her just looking around. I wish they did it for a little bit longer where she's like looking, just trying to scan to find like a guy, and she sees like one guy that's in the horse costume, and then she finds out, and then like the woman is like, reveals to be like the
Yeah.
back of the horse,
Yeah.
and she's like, oh darn it. And then
Yeah.
even though that like kind of like Viking person that reveals to be a woman, I'm like, I don't know, from the back they got pretty big hips, like that
Yeah.
shape,
Well, and she
you
also
know
kind of made a face like, wait, whoa, was I just attracted to this woman? Like she makes like a very surprised look. So I'm like, maybe next time you lure a woman into the woods instead.
I don't know. She at least maybe not that one because she seemed like she would fucking
She'd
throw
fuck them
down
up. Yeah,
a little bit.
she,
Yeah,
she's an actual Viking that was in a costume.
yeah.
Yeah,
It was just how it
and
just
I think the effects are fun enough, like for how heavy they have to go with the CGI. Like I like the sister like kind of slicing open like down the middle of her back and pulling her skin off, like almost like a, I don't know how to describe that motion, like what you'd be
like a
peeling
zipper.
back.
Oh yeah.
Kind of
Oh, I
like,
guess like your
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like that double hand pull that she does on her back. It looks really fun. So I like this idea of these of course they make it like super over the top sexual when they're transforming, which feels very 2007 and is it is what it is. Um but yeah, I like these just hot werewolf bitches just literally just going off in the woods just eating men. It's
I
great.
like I like how I guess regardless of if they're werewolves or if they're witches or if it's you know yeah, any sort of thing. If it just involves a group of women, there's always some dancing around a fire in the woods situation.
Yeah.
Um, and no, I got like the vibes I was getting definitely are like like from Dusk Till Dawn. You
Yeah.
know, when they're all turning. The only thing that kind of ruins it for me is um that fucking awful, awful, awful Marilyn Manson cover of that Eurythmics song.
Which
And
had been used already in other horror movies, probably a few. Um, yeah,
I
they could have put anything else there.
I like, hey, Marilyn Manson has a couple bangers. I'll
Yeah,
say
he
it.
does.
I'll say
Yeah,
it. Maybe
he does. He
embarrassingly
does.
so.
Yeah.
Um, and but just these like string of like whenever he just like covers some song from the 80s. So like it was like this, he did like Tainted Love, he did
Yes.
Personal Jesus,
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
full circle. He did This Is Halloween from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh,
And
really?
oh, and they're all just so fucking awful. And they all
They're all
sound
pretty much
this
the same.
they all sound the
Yeah,
exact
they're the
same.
same. Yeah.
And so that song or that was the only thing I was like, oh Jesus, this is
Okay,
pretty bad. But
what's your favorite Marilyn Manson song,
Dope
if you
Show,
have one? Oh, Dope Show is good. I like The Beautiful People.
yeah.
I think that one's my favorite.
I
Oh
just
yeah.
remember specifically, yeah, the Dope Show video, and thinking, I'm wondering if it was filmed in the same area where, like, I don't know, just it was giving me vibes of the where that command center was in the Power Rangers show in the early 90s,
Yeah.
just like out there kind of like in the desert, especially with that lighting that
Yeah,
like kind
yeah.
of like I don't know, like that tint that's over the whole thing. So
Yeah, because
like
they're trying
then
to make it look like
yeah, right. So I don't know. I don't. So then I just think of like that command center, that building from Power Rangers, and then also like aren't there like cops like spanking each other and just all the I don't know what was going
I
on in
don't
that Dope Show
remember.
video. I think just a
Yeah,
lot
yeah.
of just like
Marilyn Manson also has some crazy shit that he's done and has allegations against him as well of domestic abuse and like fucking torture, which hasn't, he has had no consequences that I know of yet. But yeah, I just recently learned about that too. So there you have it.
yeah. So
So
it's all yeah.
ongoing theme.
Fuck them.
Um, so the theme, the moral of the story is you know what? Like let these werewolf women just eat men. let them let them have their man buffet. They're doing God's
Yeah.
work, really.
Right. Well, and especially if they were like it works out easy if it's like say Wilkins trying to kill her. It's like hey, if it's all shitty people that y'all are
Hmm.
eating up, like that's okay. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, go for it. But okay, the other thing that I think, obviously they use this as a way to throw you off the first time thing where, they keep talking about her first time. And I was like, wait, like her first time wolfing out, her first time eating some like a person, like what is the first time piece of things. And I think they refer to her as a virgin too, which is feels like weird language to use for that, but I guess it would work, so they're trying to throw you off with that, which I was like, okay, fine, that's cute, whatever. So yeah, that's a fun one too. Um, let's talk about this Halloween school bus massacre situation. And of course, this is 2007, so we do get the use of the R word
Twice.
twice, yeah,
I know.
for Rhonda. Um, and I I'm reading Rhonda as being on the spectrum of autism. Is that's actually what's happening because yeah, she I don't see her being like level of special needs. I'm assuming the kids on the bus are, but they call them disturbed and what was
Disturbed
the
and
other?
troubled.
Disturbed and troubled. And I was like, at what year is this? Number one. And number two, disturbed and troubled is very different than having like special needs. So I'm like, I'm assuming that that's just, the year speaking there, but yeah, I was interested in that, and also like they picked the most terrifying costumes for these children on the bus.
I know. I'm like,
No wonder
you
why no one wants to hang out with them.
when you when you tell me a kid is like troubled and disturbed, I'm thinking like young Michael Myers.
Exactly. I'm thinking like a child that is seemingly of a clear state of mind and maybe has like sociopathic tendencies or, is like murdering animals or, doing terrible things to other children. I don't know, vandalizing things. Just the list goes on.
Vandalizing and things and murdering animals. I'm good for some healthy
Some
public
healthy
property
vandalism.
destruction. Yeah, it's all part of the tricks,
Yeah.
in the trick
But
or
I mean,
treat.
I would be like, oh, okay, like that's, behavior that like as a parent you'd be like you wouldn't be excited to share.
For playing, and then also just, yeah, I guess just these particularly nasty children that are,
Yeah.
you know led by, what's her, Macy, I think is her name.
Mm-hmm.
They
She's a little
really,
bitch,
yeah, they just
Macy.
go a long way to sell this. I'm like, there's
Yes.
already all the collecting of jack-o'-lanterns up until, she's like, tells like Wilkins like, oh, it's for UNICEF. I'm like,
Yeah.
why is some child out collecting jack-o'-lanterns for UNICEF?
On Halloween.
The
Like
Halloween.
what a weird.
But I like Wilkins is
Yeah.
like, it's for a good cause, sure. But
Yeah.
so to do all that, you could have just gotten those jack-o'-lanterns anyway, or made that not part of the story. Like you could have just walked out there on your own and just said like, oh, here's the story. Let's go down there. Why are we offering all the
I'm
jack-o'-lanterns
I'm
other
assuming
than,
she like maybe did some research and was like, "Oh, this will make the story feel more legit," or like it gives them a reason to go down to the lake area. But Rhonda obviously is very like pro Halloween. She knows all the rules. She follows them. She carved a million jack-o'-lanterns like a champ.
I love Rhonda.
So yeah, Rhonda's great. She's the MVP of this movie, honestly. Maybe, well, I do like Stephen Wilkins as well, but Rhonda makes it out. Um,
She's fucking cold. I love it.
she leaves their asses, which I think is great. But you know what? Not only did they like pull this prank on her, but the way that they like play her crush on that boy to it as well. Like they're like, we're just gonna fade into the background while you like kind of like chat her up and like, get her excited to come, to this thing. And I'm like, that's fucked. That whole situation is fucked. We've talked about pranks before. Not cool. And when she fell on that rock, you're like, oh, okay, this is why we don't do pranks. You might accidentally murder someone.
I thought that was, and of course, yeah, fuck those kids, fuck every single one of them, and
Yeah, fuck them all
except for Rhonda, of course. But
except
like
for Rhonda.
when the boy she liked, Schrader, I think was his name,
Hmm.
then he's like all of a sudden like, okay guys, we've gone too far, like, hey, let's, we need to take care of her, let's get her back. And I'm like, dude, you've gone this
Too
fucking far,
too
like,
late.
you're too late, you all fucking suck, you all deserve
Yeah.
to die.
Yeah.
So it was great watch, of course, all off screen. And what was Rhonda gonna do? You can't get more than 3 people up there safely anyway, and there were 3 people plus Rhonda. So Rhonda's just like, you know what? Like,
Fuck
it's
all of
extra
you.
safe, just one. So I'm just gonna do that and just go
Yeah,
up.
not opening this gate. That's what's extra safe. Yeah, I really love that she even like I wonder if she actually changed her mind in that moment or if she decided to do like a fake out where she's like, gonna unlock it. Never mind, I'm pressing the up button, bitches.
I loved
Trick or
that.
treat, motherfuckers. That's what I would have said as I was headed up in that elevator.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so that was cool. So yeah, she's cold. I fucking loved it.
Yeah.
I was
But
like, good
then
for her.
Sam's like, hats off to you.
Sam's
Like,
like, we're good.
we're good.
You and me.
Yeah,
Your
you're doing all the
pumpkin's
right things.
lit. That was
Yeah.
the only reason I thought they would bring the pumpkins is so you could continue that whole like, if yours
Hmm.
isn't lit, you're not going to be
Yeah.
protected or whatever. But yeah, I thought that was good. Working back just a second, when they're like going out, like, yeah, like collecting these like jack-o'-lanterns, they also go to that other woman's party
Oh
where
my gosh, yes. It's the
where
teachers, right?
yeah, where they're like, I don't know, are they having like some weird sex party in there?
Wait, I
I don't
think
know
it's just
what's
a
going on.
very sexual Halloween party. Like those people might have an orgy later. Right now they're just loosening up and you know, doing all the substances to get in the mood. What
I
does the
just
little
like
boy say?
how
He's in a hot dog, the one teacher's in a hot dog costume, but fucking
a pig.
someone else, a pig.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't, just like when they show up and then she like turns around and like shakes her ass at
Children.
them and offers them drinks and then goes, watch out for monsters out there. It's like,
Yeah,
bitch, you're right here.
you're the monster.
You're the monster. Let's get the fuck out of here, you creepy pervert. Like, I do not like that at
Yeah,
all.
she offers them a drink.
Yeah,
Yeah, so she must not be a teacher. She must be just a neighbor.
she might be,
I
or
I
just
hope she's
still.
not a teacher offering them alcohol or just even an adult offering them alcohol isn't okay, but like especially like we put a trust in the teachers. So, you know. Oh, yeah, she's a mess. She's a mess.
The other kind of stray thoughts from this whole thing is, yeah, just I think the weird, just like, yeah, like the weird tinted like lighting in the school bus scene, just gave me Elm Street 2 vibes, right? Doesn't it? Did Elm
Yeah,
Street 2 open that
it
way on the
opens
school
with the
bus?
school bus. I love that scene.
And I'm like, are they going to be going after like their parents too, that like paid this bus, that all got together, put their money together, paid this
Yeah,
bus driver to go drive their children all off a cliff into this quarry?
yeah. If
And I guess that, yeah,
this is turned into some sort of like urban legend, so people are aware that these kids like crash. I guess there's just no way to prove it.
I guess.
I don't know. And
So they're like,
also like that this bus driver just stayed in the same town. Like I would be getting the fuck out of there.
yeah, that makes no sense because I'm like, everyone knows who the bus driver was, but unless
Yeah.
everyone's just willing to hide it, and then I'm like, y'all need to go after that whole. I want to see those kids all go after the fucking family too, all the
Everybody, yeah,
families, all of them.
get your revenge. I mean, maybe they're just starting with the bus driver and then working their way
I hope so.
through. That was their first stop trick or treating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Geez,
Yeah,
just
I like the the bus story and like how they, show it sinking and everything is really fun. Love that it's still like in that quarry, like sticking up and it's like, oh shit, the school bus is really there. And she's like, yeah, like,
oh yeah, that part's totally true.
yeah, she's like that, obviously.
Yeah, the super fucked up parts. Oh yeah, all of that's true. Uh,
Yeah.
the pumpkin thing, I don't know.
Yeah, I just made up some weird tradition that doesn't exist, but other
Yeah,
than that, the story is all true.
yeah. I thought that was good. So yeah, Rhonda's just like, all right, I'm just gonna take my wagon with my
Mhm.
jack-o'-lantern, who Schrader says is very pretty. I've never heard someone call their jack-o'-lantern pretty before,
Yeah, that is interesting.
but I think that was him just trying to work the
Yeah,
situation.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure, for sure.
So,
That kid sucks.
which I guess does kind of lead us into this fucking bus driver, played by Brian
Hmm.
Cox, who
Hmm.
is, kind of a Halloween humbug, which makes sense because he murdered a shit ton of children a long time
Yeah,
ago on Halloween, and that
yeah,
shit haunts him because he's a fuck.
yeah.
Um,
And his breathing is so good. Like, I don't know what what made them decide to have him breathe that way, but it is very off-putting and creepy, and I guess just is maybe supposed to be like a signal of like poor health. I don't know. Um, but I love seeing this whole perspective from the other side for him, and his super cute dog that scares off the trick-or-treaters, of which I don't know why his bark would sound like that just from a costume.
I know. And then also like so, I couldn't tell because it would have been off screen. Does that dog die?
I don't think so. You never
Right? You never
you
hear
see
that
the dog,
like you
you
never
don't
hear
hear like
that
a yelp.
yeah, it's usually that yelp that you hear when something
Yes.
happens. And I watched it with subtitles and I heard like whimper when the dog goes upstairs. I don't think we see the dog after that. But I would
Yeah.
say, hey, that dog, well, fuck, he took the costume off because I was going to say the dog was wearing a costume.
He
He's
was
like the
wearing a costume.
dog's trying to. He doesn't have the opposable thumbs to hand out candy. I feel like the
I
dogs
mean,
should.
realistically, are you expecting that like young children are going to stay in their costumes till midnight? No.
Right?
Like they're going to have to go
Exactly.
to sleep. So, I mean, I don't I think the dog I'm going to just say the dog wore a costume,
Yeah.
and I think the dog did its part for what a dog could do on Halloween. So,
I like the name
I think he made it up
Spite.
safe.
Yeah, I like the name
That's
Spite for a
cute.
dog. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty fun. Instead of
So
Spite.
I yeah, so we got this whole scene like really, yeah, this whole like kind of final like larger kind of set piece with him and Sam.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was, I think it's good. I like it, that whole kind of mostly horror kind of setup notice. He goes outside and then you see the crossover with him and
Mm-hmm.
Wilkins, right? And you come back and then you see that, they've gone through the dog door.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's gone through the dog door. Um he makes his way upstairs pretty quick, and then you've got feels very urban legend to me. Goes into the room and
Yes.
sees, the trick or treat,
Yeah.
the whole thing written in blood all over the walls, only to be accentuated by fucking that tendon slash.
Oh,
Always. Whoo, whoo.
oh, that is so hard to watch in every movie. Like I'm thinking about all the terrible things I've seen in movies, but there's something about that tendon that just really gets me. And he's got that
Especially,
little razor blade and that candy bar. Whew.
I love that. Man, I put that right up there with Freddy Krueger's glove. Like what a cool fucking
The lollipop.
weapon. No, or the lollipop
Both. Yeah,
and the candy
he's
bar.
got two cool weapons.
The
Did
lollipop and the candy bar with the blade in it, both were fucking great. I
what
loved
do
it.
you think of the creature design like of Sam? You dig it?
So, no, I don't.
You don't. Ooh, tell me
I'm
why.
I made a note of he isn't as scary when you take the burlap sack off his head.
He's kind of cute, right?
Yeah.
I think he's
Well,
kind
and
of
it's just
ugly cute.
and he just kind of like it's kind of the same where like I don't know if I'm the minority on this, but the Predator looks super fucking cool, and then when you took like when his helmet comes off at the end of the first movie, you're kind of like he looks cooler with the helmet on.
Well, with the helmet off, he looks more just like a creature, like not like necessarily harmful. He looks menacing in the mask with helmet.
Yeah, whereas like
Yeah.
Sam, like yeah, I don't know, just like with the buttons and the stitch smile and I think all that looks good, and but just Yeah, it's just the whole concept's really cool, but yeah, I just wasn't really feeling it when the bag comes off his
Interesting.
head. I don't know.
I love the way he looks. And maybe it's because he's kind of creepy cute, but yeah, I like him with the bag on his head or off of his head. I especially like when after the bag rips and then he can like eat through it. So you see like his creepy little mouth. But I really like when the bus driver is trying to unlock all the locks on his door and Sam is just crawling on the ceiling. That's pretty fun. That's a fun shot that I honestly forget every time I watch it. So I was like very pleasantly surprised to see that. And what really takes the cake for me on him is those pumpkin guts that when he doesn't bleed, he just has like pumpkin guts. Oh my gosh, it's so fun. I really, really like that. And he just kind of regenerates.
Again, like the mix of the creative weapons and then, him falling down or the bus driver falling down the stairs because he's got like all the candy and stuff that he laid down all
Hmm.
over the steps. What I
Razor
think,
blades, oh
what I was
glass.
thinking too also is that like, and it makes sense. I don't know what kind of budget Sam's working with, but I like that it's all bullshit candy too. I don't know if it's
Yeah,
all like fucking lollipops and Smarties
yeah,
and shit. And
cheap
can
shit.
and loose candy corn, like
Yeah.
who's giving each other like handfuls of loose candy corn? I just don't.
That's just the stuff he didn't want to eat. So he's like, "Oh, I'll use this for murder later. And I'm gonna go find some fucking chocolate." So I wonder
Yeah.
if the
Just gonna
bus
leave just
driver,
Whoppers and almond joys just
yeah.
all over the place.
Oh, Whoppers. Oh, those are the worst.
Whoppers are disgusting. I actually like Smarties too. I like
Smarties, they're
Smarties.
fine. Yeah, they're fine.
Um, and then also what I noticed too, like jumping a little bit, is that like when the bus driver's like handing out candy at the end, you know,
Mm.
it's like fucking like those like little wrapped like butterscotches and like peppermints. Who the
Yeah, get
fuck's
out of
handing
here with
out?
those fucking peppermints.
Who the
I
fuck?
I'm
Yeah,
assuming because he was like desperately like just like needing to give out candy that he
some
just grabbed whatever candy he had in his house or whatever candy was left at the store. And
yeah,
like all the shitty candy is left.
yeah.
Um, I'm guessing that's what it is. But also, why are you keeping it in your sling? That's what bothered
Yeah.
me about it. He was like he had his arm sling and he's
Yeah,
just
dude.
pulling
I don't want to
handfuls
like
of
eat off your
candy.
bloody
Oh,
bandages, dude. Like I'm
gross.
good.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that's gross. And the shot with the glass in his hands. Oh, that's so yucky. Uh,
yeah, it's all pretty bad. But
yeah.
yeah, no, I thought I wish Sam were a little smaller maybe, but then I think you were saying earlier before we started recording that, the stunt double is certainly much larger.
Yeah.
And it is a child playing that
Yeah.
character.
A very small child. And you can tell by his cute little hands. Like he has like cute little child hands, but they're like dirty. Which honestly, that's just how that age group, that's how their hands look. It's not even creepy. They probably just, he came in, put on the costume, and they're like, oh, good, your fingernails are already filthy.
Yeah. Weren't you saying it was the same kid that was Perfin at the beginning of the movie?
Yeah, so just so I don't confuse everyone, the actor who plays the little boy who's being a little perv at the costume store and the actor who is Sam is the same kid, which is really really cute, like that he gets to like show his face for a second, but
It's like how
yeah.
in the first Ninja Turtles movie, all the people that are wearing the costumes play different roles in the movie. So
Ah.
say the dude, the Domino's pizza delivery guy,
Mhm.
who's talking to Michelangelo. Like
Yeah,
that's the
yeah.
dude in the Michelangelo costume playing that guy talking to,
That's so fun. I never
Michelangelo.
knew that.
So I don't think it's
Love
maybe it's
that.
not like that with each of them, each of the people, because I think it was yeah, I don't know. Tangent. Don't mind me.
No, it's okay. Yeah, this is an all over the place situation. It's Halloween. We're gonna talk about what the fuck we want.
I know,
We're gonna
right?
talk about Ninja Turtles. We're gonna talk about Ninja Turtles.
Thank you, and I will. So strap in, everybody. This episode's going on for another two
We're
hours.
talking about Ninja Turtles now.
Ninja Turtles.
Um,
The one thing
like
though is
Sam. I think he's cute and scary, and I like the sounds that he makes, especially. He makes creepy little child sounds, and it's delightful. And when he's biting his leg, oh, I love that shot of him just like, just like
That's
just
pretty good.
just going for it.
Though I'm impressed with Brian Cox. I mean, having like again like his ankle slashed like that, he's able to like get up pretty
Oh
well
yeah.
and like walk around after the
Yeah, he
fact. I'm
gets
like,
around pretty well.
that is not how that works, man. Like you don't
And
get back up.
he's an older gentleman. So
Yeah.
yeah. Do you think that Sam would have killed him had he not had that chocolate bar that fell on him?
Yeah. I think it was the only
The
thing that
the
saved
chocolate
him.
bar saved him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, I don't care that you murdered those kids in the bus. You were being a Scrooge, a Halloween Scrooge.
Yeah, dude. I mean, if like, yeah, I don't know. And if Sam, hey, if Sam's standards are that low that he'll eat one that's like already been opened and bitten to, but it was like a full size candy bar, so it's like, ah, well, fuck.
Yeah, he's
I
like,
can,
ooh,
I can break off the end of that, and it's still you get,
still
good situation
decent
going.
size.
No
Yeah,
germs. Don't even worry about it.
yeah,
So,
that's
I
great.
do like this idea of. I think the thing that I struggle with is that anarchy of trick or treat and Sam rolling around as this little child Halloween cop
He
holding
is.
people.
He's like the fucking hall monitor of Halloween
So
for
so when
sure.
you frame it like that, I'm just like, I don't know, Sam, like get over yourself, dude. Like come on.
Yeah.
But I do
He seems to like all the chaos in between, though. So he's like, just follow this small set of rules. Other than that, you can murder people, you can play pranks on people. You just how Macy got it. You saw her kick that jack-o'-lantern right into that lake, and that was it.
they would have been fine if
They
it wasn't.
probably would have been fine if that jack-o'-lantern was still there. They would have had time to, apologize and kiss the ground that Rhonda walks on, and it all would have been good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, just worrying about like, oh, I don't want to like just go beat for beat through the movie, and I think we actually managed to kind of do that a little bit, or get good overviews of each of these
Yeah. A
stories,
few detours in between.
right? I think so. Quick detour down to the quarry,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. And I like that the movie kind of goes in a nice little circle because you end up seeing Sam observe that jack-o'-lantern being blown out and just being like that fucking bitch. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna take this lollipop, this
They
fucking sword and shove it in her throat.
I know it well, yeah, it got my geography calibrated and was like, oh yeah, I guess they all live literally all across
Yeah.
the street from each other,
He's
like
not traveling
three.
far.
Yeah.
The quarry is the furthest that he went, and even who knows how long it took them to get there. Another fun thing about this movie, I like that as you're watching each character, or like story happen, you're seeing other characters in the background. So when the little boy from Bad Santa is dragging the candy in that gross, like muddy bag, ew. He's like dragging it around. You see the four werewolf girls, and you see Mr. Wilkins in line to buy like groceries or something. So like, you see some different characters in the background, and that's kind of a fun little extra how they encounter each other.
Yeah, I think it was super fun. And gosh, I mean, I guess I any closing thoughts before we hop into a boo score?
No, I already got my taglines out of the way early. um I am curious, what is your favorite Halloween candy? Like, what can you not resist when like people have like bowls of candy out, or like, yeah, like I have the pleasure of checking the candy for safety, of course. So I steal the good shit.
There you go. Good. You can have the Whoppers.
But if Phil ever listens to this, I never stole your candy. It was always your dad.
Yeah. I who? Well, I don't know. Probably there's two. So it's like okay. So I've got like a sweet fruity candy, and I've got a chocolate candy. So like
Oh, good. Okay.
my sweet fruity is probably gonna be Starburst. I'm always a big Starburst guy. I know. It's just sugar like wax cubes.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and that's literally all it is. Like stale wax. And
Hot take, the lemon and orange are the best ones, not the pink and the red.
oh my gosh, I thought that was a hot candy take when I posted something like that on Instagram, being like, because I got, because the Halloween ones generally come in like little
Oh
two
yeah,
packs.
you did.
I got double yellow, and I was like, this is like a jackpot. Like,
Yeah.
but everyone's like, gross, dude. But I
No, the
did bring up, I
lemon's
think a
so
lot of
good.
people, because yeah, mine goes it's like, yeah, it's the hot take rating for Starburst, where it goes yellow's the best one, then orange, then red, then pink. I give all the pinks to my wife. I'm like, I'm
Pink
good.
is rough. Yeah.
So, but
Okay,
I love
that's
Starburst,
your sweet your
and I just love Milky Ways, and I like them best. I don't like a Milky Way
mm.
bar, but I do like those little squares that they come in when they're
Did
around
do
for
you
the
like
holidays.
the have you ever tried the Milky Way Midnight?
I don't like dark chocolate.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Podcast is canceled.
I
I
love I
love
love
a Milky Way Midnight.
yeah, I love mint a lot, but I
Oh
don't
yeah.
like dark chocolate, and it's hard because those two are generally
So you don't like the
in tandem.
little what the fuck are they called? The patties.
York peppermint patties. No,
Yeah,
I'll eat
York
those,
peppermint patties.
or I'll eat 'cause I feel like it's like not like real chocolate. Those. Same with
Yeah.
junior mints.
Yeah, junior mints. Those are good.
I'll eat junior mints. Oh, like I'll
Yeah,
like
you don't see those often.
junior mints in the fridge.
Yeah, I think my favorites are always like whatever's the rarest. Like if I can just find something that I don't normally see, but I do like those Milky Way Midnights. Those are one of my favorites because I only find a few. And then I also keep it classic. I like a Reese's peanut butter cup, but I only like the small ones. I don't like the larger ones.
Me neither. I
I
love the small ones that are a little taller,
Yes,
right? The little
the
cup ones.
chocolate is a little bit the chocolate to peanut butter ratio is better and they don't like get like squishy in the middle. Yeah, those are better. And then for sweet or like the more like non-chocolate candies. Okay, this might be a weird one, but I love Swedish fish.
My
What?
mother loves Swedish fish, but only
Ah,
the
she's the
red
best.
ones.
Yeah,
And I think
only the
that's a
red
famous
ones.
thing because you can get them in just red only. I don't think
Yes.
they do that with any of the other colors. I don't think.
No, no. I think they started off red. Am I wrong in thinking that they started red and then they like made the other colors?
I couldn't say.
Yeah, those are pretty yummy and they don't give me a tummy ache like some of the other gummy candies do. So,
Solid runner ups for me. Fillings be damned, Milk Duds.
mm,
And I do love Sour Patch Kids, even though they will
Sour Patch
destroy
Kids.
my tongue if I
Oh,
eat
your
enough of them.
mouth is fucked after eating Sour Patch Kids for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I do like Almond Joy and Mounds as well. So
Ew. I was just
I
making fun of
love
Almond Joy
coconut.
earlier.
Get out
Ew.
of here. Coconut's so good. I
But you
think
like
I've,
Raisinets too.
you know what? Yeah, yeah, I do fucking like Raisinets. I love a chocolate covered raisin.
I like my candy to just have the consistency as close to plastic as much as possible. So you have um I don't like red vines, but I like Twizzlers. Because Twizzlers are just straight up just cherry plastic.
Twizzlers are so good. I like red
Twizzlers are
vines
great.
too. The texture of both of them is weird, but Twizzlers, they're so good. The Twizzler pull and peel. You remember those? Do they still make those?
Probably.
Those were cherry flavored though, not strawberry like your Twizzlers are. So they had a different flavor to them, but it was just fun to do the pull and peel like that.
Yeah.
I liked it. Yeah, very good.
So
Now we just want Halloween candy.
I know. So all right. What's your boo score?
I was really conflicted right, with this because I really love this movie and I rewatch it a lot. And rewatchability is a big one for me. Like that's a full boo. And you get so many fun little things. It's short. I'm gonna be generous with this one. I'm gonna give it a 4. I'm gonna give it a 4 after having just given like much, more renowned films lower scores Trick or Treat gets a 4. It's a fun movie. It's a fun time.
Name a better horror anthology.
Mm, I have a few that I've watched quite a few times that I love, but this one might be one of my favorites.
Right.
You know,
I
I
feel
look.
like I feel like this one generally, I don't think you can talk about. I don't think you can pick like the three best like horror anthology movies and like not include this one.
Oh no, absolutely not. I think there are some that I hold nostalgia for. Like I love Creepshow too. I've seen it a million times. It's not the best movie ever, but I it's like a comfort movie for me. I just put it on in the background sometimes. Because I watched it as a kid. Um, but this one I think is just a really fun time. And yeah, I would say it's one of the best. I don't want to say it's the best because I don't have my whole, Rolodex in my head. For those of you who know what that is.
Um, my boo rating did go up during this conversation.
Mine did too.
I came in with a 3. I'm gonna give it a 3.5.
Mm.
So we're not far off. I
I
think
was
the
torn
movie
between the two.
Yeah, I think the movie is super fun. I can't think of a whole lot of horror anthologies. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the creep shows are both pretty great.
Hmm.
And yeah, there's some I like, but I don't know. I feel like this is the most consistent. Like I feel like I've enjoyed generally everything, all segments close to equally.
Exactly. And I feel like for some of my other favorite anthologies, there's always that one that I'm like, ugh, I'm not really going to pay attention while this one's on.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is fun. And then especially when you have like, the more like, intentional just Halloween setting, I think movies that just take place on
Hmm.
Halloween are always super fun.
I know. What
Um,
other movies do you like that take place on Halloween
that are not Halloween.
that are not
Um,
the movie, the film Halloween?
I will recommend this to a lot of people. Hubie Halloween, starring Adam
Oh,
Sandler.
yes, you
It's
love
on
Hubie
Netflix.
Halloween.
That
Yeah.
movie's fucking great, and I love it.
Yeah.
Ernest Scared Stupid
Yeah,
takes
that's a
place
good
on
one.
Halloween.
Hmm.
Doesn't Scream 6 take place at least around Halloween?
It does. It
There's
does take
Halloween
place around
parties.
Halloween. Yeah. Hocus
So,
Pocus is another fun one.
yeah, Hocus
Fun Halloween
Pocus, of
movie.
course. Yeah, so I don't know. There's a lot of movies that take place on Halloween, I guess, but I don't.
No,
I'm sure there's a bunch that the listeners are just screaming at us that we're not remembering right now. But
I know. I guess I
yeah,
put us both on the spot because I didn't really plan, like I didn't like think about all the movies that take place on Halloween and say like, oh, these are all my favorites. Um, there's a lot of movies that I think I watch on Halloween that don't take place on Halloween. Like I try to watch Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, you know. Not I don't want to overdo it. So maybe like every like 2 Halloweens or so. But that's a Halloween favorite for me for sure.
the, I feel like this one's a pretty. I don't watch it every year, but I like it a lot. My wife's a big fan of this movie too, so it's always like an easy like put something on. You
Hmm.
don't have to think too much about it while we're doing other stuff. That was when we watched it the other night. And we just kind of going in and out, doing some, you know, cleaning up a little bit, hanging out, doing other things, while it's on. Yeah, I don't know. Got a lot of great people in it. Definitely recommend it to anybody. It'd probably be
Oh
top of my
yeah.
list if someone's like, I want to watch like a very like Halloween movie. I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, this one.
That I absolutely agree because that again, recommending something like Halloween is like obviously. This one I feel like now it's pretty well known, but for even for like a younger crowd, this is a good in between for, them not feeling like it's too old because it's from 2007.
I think so too. And
Yeah.
even though like yeah, like now, like I'm surprised you're. I don't know if your kid asked you much about it, but because I know like like gosh, it's Spirit Halloween. They have a whole like trick or treat section with
Yes.
all of the stuff.
Yeah,
So
he knows all of the characters. He just doesn't know what they're capable of because we haven't watched a lot of these movies. Most of my favorites I think are I watched super young, so I know that like he would be capable of it, but I also had nightmares constantly. And was afraid that Chucky was hiding in my closet. Like I would check. I would check the closet, I would check behind the shower curtain, I would check under my bed. Like I was like, that's not happening. The doll's not fucking with me. Like I would have the dog in the room and we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh. Another Halloween in the books.
Yeah. First Halloween for the podcast. So we'll have to keep these movies in mind for next Halloween.
Absolutely. I just take care of yourself. Keep your jack-o'-lanterns lit. Are they lit right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good.
Always.
Yeah, right?
Always. But they get relit. Like tea lights aren't the thing. Everyone needs to go and get those taller white candles so that it actually lasts longer than a fucking hour. Like the tea light's gonna get you murdered, is what I'm saying. Like get yourself a bulkier candle for inside of your pumpkins.
Yeah, that buys you like no time whatsoever with the fucking tea
Yeah.
lights. So, but
Yeah.
I mean, but you're not putting it out yourself.
Yeah, I
But you
mean
just
you
have to
need to
keep your
run the
jack-o'-lantern
course of
lit.
the
Yeah.
of the candle, but I like to have them lit for as long as I can without the pumpkin rotting by Halloween. So, you gotta be careful
I
for that.
I like my jack-o'-lanterns like my late 90s radio alt rock
Oh gosh.
lit.
Jeez.
And
Saving that one.
Everclear.
Saving that one for
And Everclear too.
yeah. Okay. Okay.
So, gosh. Well, happy Halloween, everybody. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah. Happy
And
Halloween.
gosh, I mean, as far as we're concerned, just hey, tune in next Tuesday. The spooky times. We're just gonna keep rolling.
We're just gonna keep going. November be damned.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep talking about scary movies. It's not just October.
Yeah. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good night. Keep those jack-o'-lanterns lit. And follow all those other rules too. Do not take off your costume until 12:01. Stay in it.
Yes.
Sleep in it if you have to. I'd recommend
Sleep in
that's
it.
what I'm doing. So happy Halloween, everyone. 3, 2, 1, ghost.
Thanks for listening to our episode on Trick or Treat. For your safety, I'll give you a quick review of Sam's rules for Halloween. 1. Always wear a costume. 2. Always hand out candy. 3. Follow us on Instagram at 321GhostPod. 4. Never blow out a jack-o'-lantern before midnight. And 5. Respect the dead. Easy, right? You can send us an email to 321ghostpod@gmail.com to recommend movies or horror-related topics you'd like to hear our thoughts on. Even though October has sadly come to an end, we'll continue to keep it spooky all year round. Next week, we'll be kicking off November with 1985's Fright Night. Happy Halloween! 3, 2, 1, ghost.